All right, so Birmingham's perspective today is on another level. We have an
A very
amazing guest.
special level
We have some
today.
great stuff to talk
We're
about.
very excited.
Stuff I've seen all my life, kind of. Well, not all my life. Obviously, it hasn't been around all my life, but I have seen it. You know, starting probably Katrina-ish times because I'm a chef. Because I'm in the industry, I always wonder about that. I always wonder about when there's a big disaster, right? I always wonder about not so much. This may be my youth speaking back then. I wasn't really so much worried about humanity because I don't think I was old enough to understand it. What I was wondering is, though, what happens to all these people that are working and they don't have jobs anymore? What's going to happen to that restaurant and this, that, and the other?
Yeah.
So it all kind of works out. And then I never thought about feeding all the people outside of the restaurant. I always concerned myself with the restaurant. It wasn't until I got older and stuff where I started realizing, holy shit, this is a disaster.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of mystique around that. So you would notice who first,
What, on the scenes?
on the scene, yeah. So Mercy Chefs came around, and I've noticed them before.
You saw this before, but you didn't really, we kind of filled you in on what they do.
Right. Well, what I'm getting back at is you see back in the day on TV when they're running the B-roll of the disaster itself, you see the help.
You would
see
see
the
the
tragedy, you see the devastation, right? And then you would see somebody feeding all these people. That is when I started realizing, wow, how do you feed all these people now that the restaurants are gone? And how do you feed these people now that there's no
Everything's
grocery
been taken
stores?
out.
What the hell's going on? People are starving now. You didn't think about that, right?
Right.
Until I got older, and then I started noticing as a chef, how do you feed my dining room, let alone a city? You know, a
Tens of
town, a
thousands,
country, a
hundreds
county,
of thousands of people.
right?
Yeah.
So you would see all these help, and I'm having a brain fart now coming up with these names, but Mercy Chefs was always one of them.
Yeah.
And here you are now, not realizing you're headquartered right here.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize. So, Chef Gary LeBlanc, we want to thank you for being with us because this is amazing. Mercy Chefs is known throughout the entire world. So, I mean, but most people in the 757 don't realize that you are here, home based in a little area of Portsmouth.
And from coastal Virginia to the world.
Yeah.
It seems like that's been the trend for us. And, you know, you talked about what happens after a disaster. You know, that was the birth of Mercy Chefs. New Orleans was my hometown. It's where I grew up in the business. It's where all my culinary roots are. And to
So
watch
you have
what
that
happened.
New Orleans cooking,
absolutely.
traditional
Very
Creole
Yeah,
style.
I'm well storied in that. But to watch Katrina is when I went down and volunteered for the very first time, not knowing any of those things. And then being so dissatisfied with the quality of food that I saw being served. You know, it's one thing to keep somebody alive in the aftermath of a disaster.
So you're talking about a biscuit, maybe an apple.
You know, we saw it
Processed.
14 nights in a row. You know, a group scoop green beans out of a can on a plate with a cold hot dog one night, with frozen chicken nuggets a night, and a slice of white bread.
And they were doing the best they could with what they had.
Absolutely. They were doing all they knew how to do. But I knew as a chef, as somebody in the profession, that there is a better way to feed people. And I thought we could do that. And I thought we could do it at volume. And that's what we've been working through for 20 years now, is how to do it better, how to do it for more, how to get there quicker, how to do it more often. And that's our chase. We're never quite satisfied.
Well, no, right. I mean, so you're learning, and as you go, we're talking about, let's give a little breakdown on how this works. So we can sit here and talk about the food all we want, which we will. But let's talk about how, you know, when you're talking about cooking we're just talking like it's normal. We're having a conversation about cooking. What we're not talking about is the amount of cooking. How many people actually are affected by a devastation or a disaster, right?
Right.
How many people are affected, and then how many people show up looking? How long are you there before the word gets out and more people start coming? How do you keep up with this? That's kind of what I want to know, is how did it start from then to now?
Man, it is like a nuclear explosion sometimes. You show up, you set up, and then it's Katie bar the door. I mean, there's no ramp up, there's no on ramp. You go from, it's an empty parking lot one day, the next day you're doing 20,000 meals, essentially off a garden hose and an extension cord. Wow. And you're doing beautiful meals. Everything is handcrafted. Everything is chef prepared. We put so much love in our food. So it's great food, but we can do it at volume as well. We want to get there quickly. You know, we know those first responders, the men and women that are doing law enforcement or search and rescue, They work so hard, and they usually do it eating MREs or power bars.
That's all they
And
have.
that's no way to. They're heroes. They are the heroes in disaster.
Is that your main goal, is to feed those who are helping the needy, or, and I say needy meaning the victims?
Displaced.
Are
yeah.
you right? Are you helping? Is your goal to? Did it start out? Did Mercy Chefs start out helping the displaced victims, or did it start out helping the responders?
Well, actually, we feed victims, volunteers, and the first responders. It started out more with some of the volunteer crews. I mean, I was working a full-time job my first 5 years of Mercy Chefs. And so it was when I could get a weekend or paid time off and go and support those teams doing the rebuilding effort. And then we just got better. We got more involved. And so now it's a race to get there, take care of those first responders, start feeding the victims, and then stay as long as we need to stay to feed those volunteers.
So that's a good point of view. That's a good point. You need to feed the first responders so they can respond.
Yeah.
They need to be strengthened. They need to have a good stomach full. They need to be able to make decisions. You can't do that stuff when you're hungry or hangry, or making decisions, last minute decisions when you're not feeling right either. Sometimes, all the time really, some of us find only comfort in a good meal.
Well, we think so. Amazing things happen when you share a meal. We do it as friends. We do it as family. But when you do it with somebody on the worst day of their life, it's next level. I mean, it's next level.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you, now you started out small, I imagine. You said you had a full-time job. So you were going off on your own to do this. So basically you would kind of almost, in a sense, I'm looking at it almost like Batman. You're watching the radar, you're seeing where next devastation is going to be, and you're going to be there to help,
your
right?
suit out
If
and
you're doing
go.
it part-time, you have to almost find something to go do, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So with that comes funding and buying this stuff. At the beginning, how did you do this? How did you come up with the food at the beginning?
The very worst business model you could ever have. In the first 5 or 6 years, I'd do a deployment on our personal credit cards. And then I'd get home and I'd raise enough money to pay my cards back down. We didn't have any credit. We didn't have any base. I mean, nobody
So you were
knew
doing
what
this
it was.
completely on your own.
Yeah. I mean, first 5 years we were major donors and we just believed in it. I have a hard time asking somebody for money for an idea. Hey, but I don't have a hard time telling somebody, hey, this is what we just did, or this is what we're doing in the moment. Would you like to be part of that?
So
but
you
not for an idea.
Your request off of
Horrible business model, though. It will strengthen a marriage if the marriage survives.
Sure.
So many times it was like, okay, I knew when it was time to come home. My credit cards were full. I just
So
couldn't
that
do
was
it
how
anymore.
you gauged how much you could do in the beginning.
Bad business
And
model.
you can't become a victim trying to do good work.
Yeah.
And so your wife and yourself are the founder and co-founder.
Yeah.
So you've been through this from the beginning.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah, and we've just seen it grow. The escalation of what we do and how we've grown is phenomenal. 10 years to serve our first 1 million meals. Took 10 years to serve 1 million meals. We served our next 1 million meals in 3 years.
Wow.
And let me do math real quick. In the 7 years since then, we've served another 30 million meals. I mean,
The power of algorithms.
Like you said,
growth
explosion.
curve is kind of scary.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, 9 years ago, it was me and a part-time admin working out of half my garage. We've got 124 staff right now. We have 124 people. It's just what it takes to get this done.
Sure. And then now you have your outreach with donors, and I'm sure you have people now that believe in you and see what you've been doing, what you're capable of. So they have a lot more confidence in backing this, I'm sure.
Yeah, we've seen that grow as well. But again, we had to prove it. There are people that didn't believe this was going to work. When I first had the vision for Mercy Chefs, when I first got called, I went back to all the other groups that work in the disaster relief space and said, hey, I've got this business model. And they all said, you're a fool. You're on a fool's errand. This will never work. It's too expensive. It's going to take special equipment. It's going to take specialized chefs. And some of them even said, we raise plenty of money doing bad food. Why would we need to do good food? So it was a heart call right from the beginning. It wasn't about making sense. It was about hearing a call and answering it with everything that I had. I mean, I just had to lay it all down.
And a little dash of I'll show you competition.
I would say not, but it's probably evident that it's nice to see something work that
Sure,
you
no,
belied in that
personally,
nobody else
As a
did.
chef too,
You know,
you're like,
it's
I
a
know
personal
it can
quest.
be done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
personal quest to make sure this gets done. If you think if you think it can be done, you should get it done. Period.
That sauce is never going to hold, and then it does, and you're kind of like, yeah.
I did it.
Feel
I
good
did
about
that.
it, right? Oh yes, it will. Trust me. Yeah.
I feel very fortunate though.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
not-
oh man, I wasn't sure myself.
Yeah,
But
that's not going to rise. That dough's not going to rise. So when you started out with this, we already know that it was from Katrina, got you going and amped up. I do a lot of food. I just started maybe 10 years ago with some of my brothers in the club I'm in, and we've gone from a small trailer to now 7 to 8 tractor trailers in one day of delivery. That is substantial. I think it's the South Virginia, Eastern Virginia's food bank's biggest donations of the year. We have a huge thing, and we're making millions of meals off of our donation.
right.
So it started from something, just an idea,
Yeah.
just to do something and add a little bit of help to. Now we're dependent on for it almost. You know what I mean?
Right.
I feel personally that if we back out of that or slow it down, we're doing a disservice as much as we
For the
did a
community,
service.
yeah.
You know, I always laugh. Like I knew tradesmen, plumbers or carpenters that were making a great living with one truck and a helper, and they said, "Well, let me get another truck." And first thing they knew, they had 10 trucks and 35 people on staff, and they wake up one day and say, "Wait a minute, I'm working twice as hard, making half the money. I'm gonna go back to one truck." I feel that way all the time, but I can't go back to one truck because what we do is for people. It's a service. I have to keep growing. I have to keep getting to more people. That's the one thing that drives me. Every time I feed somebody, every time, I see 3 more people I can't get to. And I got to get to one more.
Yeah.
And then I got to get to one more.
And it's 30 million more later.
Yes, it's the drive, man. I can't go back to one truck.
And the personal quest that you have is if you fail on that for yourself, not to anybody else, you feel like you're not providing what you're here to do. And I feel the same way in a sense when, you know, people obviously come in here, they're not in the situation of a tragedy. They're coming in here because they want to spend their money and enjoy themselves. Yeah. But it's still my goal the same way is to make food that bridge, is that bridge to success. And I want to make sure they're happy. And though this dining room is full now, I want more people to come in here, not for the money, for the food. Yeah. Yes, the money is essential. We need it to continue to grow. We need it to build. You can't do nothing without it. So we need donations. You need donations. You need things like that to happen and come in. You need people to believe in you. But when that is there and that's in place, now it becomes, all right, now we have everything in line. I want to see this line of people get bigger. I want to see more kids eating. It must be tragic for you to see some of the situations that you see.
It's really hard sometimes. We work very diligently internally. We practice a lot of self-help and well-being within the team. We have a staff psychologist that's available to anybody on the crew.
But that was my next question.
We see some ugly stuff, and more than what we see, we take on that emotion as we feed somebody. You know, because food is love. Yeah, and we're pouring out on them with everything we have. When you're feeding search and rescue teams, you know the day it goes from search and rescue to search and recovery.
Yeah.
And you're in the middle of that. You're
can
part
sense
of
it just
that
by watching the
emotion.
people, correct?
And we're very careful with our team to protect them from that. It's difficult, but it drives us. It drives us even further. Yeah. And now that we're global, the things that we're seeing internationally are beyond what my American brain can always understand.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize that too. But you guys do lean in. I guess let's talk about the scope of the size of your team now, because I mean, you have 20,000 volunteers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that in itself. Look at, any large corporation and they, managing 20,000 people and coordinating that. And how many trucks do you guys have now?
We've got 5 kitchens with 2 more in the factory, and we have 5 community kitchens, full-time permanent sticks and bricks kitchens around the country. And we keep our mobile kitchens dispersed so we can react to any disaster as quickly as possible. Our goal is under 12 hours to be at the heart of the disaster and to be able to start feeding.
That's amazing.
So what do you consider, if you have those teams around, what type of disaster what do you consider a disaster to where you need to be there?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, if your home got hit by a tornado and it was the only home that got hit, man, that's a disaster in your life.
So you're going out to things of that caliber all the way up to
Yeah.
a landslide that wiped out, unfortunately, a whole village or something.
Yeah, we have to pick and choose. Obviously, we can't go for one home, but the point of that is that it's important to meet people in their moment of need. A 30,000-foot view of a disaster doesn't count. Oh, it looks bad down there. That doesn't matter. You have to get down eye to eye with the people and say, you know, I'm here because you're important. I'm here because you deserve somebody to stand with you. And that's where we do our best work, is when we're eye to eye with someone.
Sure. And that's where it's most felt in the community anyway. And that's real life anyway. You can't do what you're doing and not be eye to eye. You
Yeah,
can't send them down with a drone. You have to be there.
Yeah, I want to say too, though, that we feed as many people as we can get to. And we don't ask questions about how big was it, or how worthy of it, or is this going to get press or not. The only question we've ever asked in 20 years is, are you hungry? We don't ask about their faith. We don't ask about their political background. We don't ask them about anything. The only question we ever ask is, are you hungry?
Yeah.
And that's who we feed.
That's it. Yeah. Everything else is irrelevant.
It absolutely is.
At that moment, everything else is irrelevant. I mean, when everybody's in the same pickle, how you got there is irrelevant.
We fed in some really precarious political positions. You know, everything is so divided nowadays, and we've been in places that weren't really well received by folks, and they're like, "Why are you there? Why, you know, this or that?" Look. What happens with these folks? What happens with the politics happens so far above my pay grade, right? All I care about is that person in this moment. What then a politician or a government or a country does with them is really not my business.
Yeah.
I can't affect that. I can affect them in that moment by sharing a meal and reminding them how important they are. That's where I make a difference.
And that mindset, believe it or not, will help you sleep really good at night too.
I
Not
hope
worrying
so.
about all that other stuff and just the meal. If worrying about the meal is what you're worried about, like I am, we don't have to. You're right. I mean, you just sleep better at night knowing that all you have to do is one thing.
Yeah,
You know what I
food
mean?
is crazy, isn't it? I mean, you can pour all your love in it. It's such a vehicle for emotion and passion and care and comfort. I mean, it's primal. I think it was the first act of civilization, was sharing a meal, one person with another. I really believe it goes all the way back.
It has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be. No one could kill a buffalo alone back then.
Yeah.
You needed help, and then who's going to eat it all?
Yeah.
You know, I think you're right.
True.
But if you go back to what she was saying before about how you've grown and you're all over the place with these countries, in that, like anything, I would imagine there's some sort of subculture within the culture you created. Meaning, if you have this out in other countries, you're dealing with people who are helping you or working with you in other countries, right?
Right.
So almost like a food bank. The food bank started as one thing. In every city, pretty much, every big city has one. They have their own crew, their own unit, all underneath the same umbrella. However, they all have their own little subculture, right?
Right.
So you're going to get to the point, or if you haven't already, I'd imagine that is going on, and you kind of have to bring everyone together to stay focused on your mission. Is that a thing? How do you go about that?
Yeah, we do. I mean, internally, we're very focused on mission. We have all those little parts of our culture. But as we're out there, you know, it's not just food that we have to share, right? We have knowledge, skills, talents, abilities that we need to share. So we do a lot of teaching. We do a lot of training. We have a teaching kitchen and a training base in Comayagua, Honduras. And from there, we're already branching out. We just launched a mobile kitchen in El Salvador. We just built another kitchen in Argentina. So our team is able to go in with people in the community and say, let us model this for you. Let us show you how to do this. And then we come in and support them whenever they need us to, but then stay out of the way. If you can teach them how to feed their community, then you've done a good thing. There's a lot more effect than that, than me trying to stand in front of a stove in the few places that I can get to.
So the quality of food of what you're talking about the good meals, everything we've already said, right? My guess what I'm getting at is if you have a team in Honduras, for instance, or South America or something, that team is being ran by somebody down there, I would imagine, or you're counting on someone there to keep it up. So keeping up the standard of that quality of food, is that yes, we know we have to feed them. Everybody has to be fed, but there also has to be a standard met. do you see yourself having complications with that, keeping that standard of what you expect?
Yeah,
the food to be done?
sometimes. But if you find people that have a passion that's similar, and they just need a little jump start, they need a 6-burner, or they need groceries for the first 6 months, or they need somebody to remind them about the importance of sanitation and food safety. I mean, teaching time and temperature controls in Latin America is crazy. I remember being in Haiti, teaching the ladies that we left 3 kitchens in Haiti then, one of them still operates, but teaching those Haitian ladies that we trained to wash their hands with warm water. I mean, they live in heat. Heat is their whole life. You want me to put my hand in hot water? They just could not conceive that.
Yeah.
But sharing the importance of that, that proper sanitation in the kitchen, and modeling those things for them, and creating a passion in them.
I'm a serve safe instructor and proctor for food handling management, all that stuff. And it's hard enough for us to train Americans here. I couldn't even imagine someone training someone. And it's not lesser of a person, it's just their culture
No, the culture is different.
So trying to teach somebody a whole different culture in order to get your mission complete is kind of where I'm at. So that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
So it must be really hard in a sense to not only put out your great food, but the whole thing around it has to stay right so the subcultures don't start deteriorating your mission.
Well, you stop in, you do checkups.
There you go.
You know, and we have a whole team that travels globally. We don't work with any of our partners globally that we don't do a check-in multi-times a year.
Oh, okay.
We want to see proof of performance. We want to see that they're still doing what they're saying that they're doing, and that we're not just a funding agency. You know, what we do is too fun too, right? I don't want to just fund somebody. I want to go and be a part of it. Like, I want to touch it, see it, smell it. I want to stand there with them. You know, that's the jazz.
Yeah.
I don't want to give that up.
Right.
No.
And in all these places you go, the power's out. All the things that you need are not available pretty much. So you must be showing up in your sleeping in tents or in the back of the truck that you towed with or something like that, right? Your team must have some sort of facility. You got to facilitate quarters for them, and that's a whole nother spectrum, right?
Yeah, we just inaugurated our 2nd bunk trailer, because I just couldn't have the team on the floor. You know, I mean, my first couple nights out in the field, we're sleeping on the floor of the mobile kitchen. I remember a picnic bench one time that I thought was pretty nice. You know, 20 years have passed. I'm not, you know, the team is very kind to me now. They make sure I'm taken care of, but they've had some rough environments. I mean, really tough going in after a hurricane and going to the heart of the need.
You go right to the center.
Yeah, I mean, there's no place around us that's safe. Everything is down.
Yeah.
You must have spent time in Asheville when that happened and things like that?
You know, we're still in Asheville.
Wow.
We are still in Asheville, coming up on the 1-year anniversary. We've served over 800,000 hot meals there, and we will have served 1 million meals in Western North Carolina since Helene.
Wow.
And it's just important to us. The need is still there.
Yeah.
So we have to still be there. I mean, the donations and the funding have long since stopped.
Sure.
I can't leave. There are people there that still need our help.
Sure.
We've just made a commitment down in Ingram, Texas, in the aftermath of those horrible floods down there. We're going to build a community kitchen in Ingram. We're going to stay in that community for forever. We're going to be a part of that community. You stay where there's a need. You invest in the people in the community. If it's important right after the storm when everyone's watching, it has to be important a year later when no one's watching.
And a lot of people forget because, you know, the next thing has come along or, you know, but you had to build out infrastructure to be able to do that, which is just insane. And there's not a disaster all the time. So it's not like you're going somewhere. So you guys have actually filled in by implementing other things. Now, you said there were kitchens, like you have permanent kitchens in cities, but you also do the food, the boxes. So how does that work within the business?
Well, the family grocery boxes, we keep improving those. It's a curated box of groceries. We've got it up to 70 servings in a box, and they're not surplus stuff that we get off a shelf or out of a warehouse. We go out and purchase everything in there. We put recipe cards. We have little spice packets we put in there. There are QR codes where they can find other recipes because it has to be the very best that we can possibly put out there. And our family grocery box program is growing incredibly. We've got to find a warehouse now. It's
How
created
long has
a
it been
need.
going on?
We've been doing family grocery boxes for about 1.5 years now.
And it's already grown that
Yeah,
much.
it's something that my wife came up with. All my good ideas were my wife's to begin with.
Good to say.
Yeah, I stole them all, right? But she was like, we have to do something for people that are going back in their homes after a disaster. They've lost everything in the pantry. Everything in the fridge has long since been thrown out. Man, to go home and recharge a pantry is $500 or $600.
You don't have salt.
Man,
Everything's gone.
who's been out of work for 3 or 4 weeks that was living paycheck to paycheck before that can go out and recharge a pantry? Right. So it's important for us that what is the need? How can we better serve? And family grocery boxes came out of that. And now it's a whole program on its own. We're doing thousands of grocery boxes every month.
Oh, that's crazy. That's amazing.
It is.
And is that primarily still local? Like, are you just doing that in Virginia? Or are you taking these with you when you go to
No,
areas?
we're doing 200 a week down in Ingram now for the people that went through the floods that are getting back in their homes. We're still doing almost 800 a month in Western North Carolina for folks that take back home. And then, Eastern Kentucky from the floods 3 years ago, we're still working there with the grocery boxes. And then here locally as well. If there's a need and we can get to it and we have the ability, we'll take care of it.
That's pretty cool.
So your chef knowledge has brought you to some really good things. I saw some of the food you were plating. I did some research, of course, and a lot of the stuff that you guys are putting out on these essentially cardboard plates or whatever it is they're doing are coming out really, really nice. I mean, you're doing a lot of stuff. I would imagine when you're building these trucks out, you got a lot of tilt skillets and cauldrons and all that stuff.
It's a tilt skillet, baby, every time.
Every time.
I take everything out the kitchen, leave me with a tilt.
That's all I
We're
need.
going to make a meal.
Correct. And you can make a damn good one because you
Yeah.
can start with everything from your braising all the way up to your slowing, your
Yeah.
charring. You can brown your meats. You can do everything in that.
It's the whole thing.
You can definitely make a lot of meals in one tilt skillet.
I've baked biscuits in a tilt skillet
I don't
because there was
I don't
just
doubt it.
nothing else to do.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But the meals are so important to us, and we want them to reflect our love and our passion for the people. So there's always a recognizable protein. There's always a starch. There's always a veg. We bake on site. I have 2 pastry chefs that travel with us, and we do our desserts. We do our breads all on site. Nothing. It's love from the oven. I
And
mean,
you're smelling that.
yeah.
It gives hope.
It does give.
In Asheville, we were working, and there was a black bear that found our dumpster, loved our dumpster, right? And so after 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, we moved to another location. And when we moved to the other location, it was about 8 or 9 blocks away, right?
You found it.
Second day, there's
He was
black
back.
bear. Bear is following us around.
back.
I said, well, I don't know if everybody else is loving us, but the wildlife is following.
I'm going to tell you.
He had a good hibernation then.
Yeah, he did. He
was
did.
good. He was eating good the whole time.
I'll tell you what, to cook like that, firstly, when you lose everything, and you're losing everything. When a town gets shut down, you're losing everything. You're losing the smell of gas. You're losing the smell of car fumes. You're losing the smell of everything, just a normal industry that was shut down.
Yeah.
So if you show up and you don't know what's going to happen next and you're hungry and you start smelling this food, you're going to smell that tenfold.
Yeah.
It's almost like driving down the road and by a Burger King in the winter. When that cold and all you smell is that Burger King.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Great picture.
Yeah, so when you're smelling that and you're driving through it, and if you're baking bread on top of it,
Yeah.
where's the disaster at this moment?
There's
no disaster here. Someone's eating good tonight.
I hope so.
That's the way the mentality you guys are what you're bringing to people. And that's amazing. It's amazing. I love having conversations with chefs who have gone outside of the kitchen and still create such a impact on people's lives. Because like you said, everything we do is based around the best celebration of us is around a table.
Absolutely.
And some people are in it to make money. Making money to me always comes if you just do it right the first place. If your function or your mission is to bring people around the table and love what you do, don't worry about the money. That's going to come naturally. But don't do this just to make money.
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. I agree completely. We always say that money will follow ministry, but ministry should never follow money.
Yeah.
And so it's like in those first 5 years or so, I just did it. I just got out there and did the best I could with what I had.
Yeah.
And kept doing it. And the resources followed. But I had to do the work first. I had to take that step of blind faith.
Yeah. But you had the faith and the tenacity to follow through with it.
I don't know that I really had the
It just
faith.
kept
Now
you
it's
going?
easy to say, oh,
Okay.
yeah, I had the faith. Back then, I was terrified.
Okay.
I was terrified. I was like, God, what do you want me to do? This doesn't make sense. I can't rationalize this. I've got to go tell my wife that you've called me to mission work. Come on. It's just not going to fly, man. We both know.
I'm using our own credit card.
Yeah. I mean, when and it was an audible call. I mean, I actually heard God speak out loud to me and tell me to go feed people. Just go feed people. In the aftermath of Katrina, that was the message I got. I sat down with a piece of paper and I wrote down 8 names of people that I knew could do it better than me. I said, God, why are you talking to me? Here are 8 other people. Do you need phone numbers, emails? How can I get you in touch with them? Like, you got the wrong guy. I mean, you got the wrong guy. But kicking and screaming and fighting and trying to run from it, I couldn't. And just to see that obedience, I didn't have to be smart. I didn't have to do anything but say yes.
Yep.
That's all I had to do was yes. And I did that reluctantly. I'm
almost as easy as the question, are you hungry?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's so simple, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
That is amazing.
People make it not simple. That's the thing. So
sometimes,
right.
You've took it and went with it and you let the simple do the work.
Well, and now, have you seen the new Netflix documentary on Katrina that just came out? Have you seen that yet?
I can't watch it.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you were
confess,
able to. Okay.
20 years of Katrina anniversary. I've dealt with them all and recognized, and it's motivated me every time. Yeah. Something about this year, I couldn't watch. I couldn't watch it this year. So I probably will ease into it, but it's going to take a little bit of time. We were in New Orleans 3 weeks ago. We were looking at a place down there to do a community kitchen, a full-time thing. You know, what a perfect circle for me to finally end up back down there. But yeah, I maybe it's because I was just there, but I just couldn't watch. It was such a powerful moment in my life. Images on TV, my town being torn up, and the effect that had on me, I still have a hard time looking squarely at what really happened to my town.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's devastating for sure. That sits on you.
Yeah, it does.
Sits on you. Has the town since grown back up or starting to come up?
You know, we go all the time to visit, and it was starting to come back. You could feel it, you know, and then COVID hit. Man, that was like the blind punch coming out of left, man. You just didn't see it, you know, and it completely took the city down to nothing again. The hospitality industry, especially, and now we're just it feels alive again. It feels full again. But you have to recognize New Orleans still has 75% of the population that it had before Katrina. 20 years later, the population hasn't grown back in the city. I mean, tourism is back. Restaurants are back. I mean, great things are happening down there on the food scene. The hotels are back. They've all been renovated and freshened. I mean, it's alive. It's alive.
Right.
But there are still scars.
Sure. I can imagine so. Well, you did an amazing thing by setting up what you did, and if anything came of that, one thing, you know, with scars come healing, and I think that you coming from that, if anything good comes from that, I'm sure other things good came from it too. But Mercy Chefs essentially came from that, right? Yeah. So something did come from it, good, right? Because here you are now, and that paves the way. Because no matter what happens, the devastation is the devastation. That's never going to go away. But what came from it on the positive, here you are. Now you're off doing it to other people and helping out there too. So, kudos to that. An amazing feat.
I love it. Well, I love hearing it because, again, I remember when I was back at the news station when they'd first brought you guys on, and this was back, 2008, 2009, somewhere around that area. Yeah. And I remembered seeing what you guys did and then seeing it go from that to now and being like, oh my gosh, they're in the middle of, national coverage news, seeing people that were like, that's our they're from our hometown. Like they actually came out of Virginia, and you're everywhere. And to see that is an incredible thing. And I think just people being inspired and to not be afraid of going after things and to help people. I'm glad you came to share that because it's cool to see it just grow the way that it has, because you guys do amazing work and it's beautiful.
It's miraculous. And it's something well beyond me. So hope you get to come out and see us sometime, Chef. We invite you in our kitchen.
I would love to.
If you're ever free,
I would hate
love
to have
you with us.
Catastrophe happen for that to happen. So let's not confuse this, right?
All right.
Yeah.
But they happen.
Yeah.
It's always going to happen, and it's never going to stop.
Yeah.
So I would love to take you up on this as long as you're there with me.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
All right.
He's still there. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
they do get him a bed now, but he's still in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
trailer.
Sure.
so-
I won't need a bed.
I won't
sleep.
make you sleep on the floor.
I'll continue to work.
Promise.
I'm
It's
a worker.
okay. Yeah.
But I would love to take you up on that. I would love to be there. Matter of fact, we'll talk. I really want to. I really
That
want
would
to take
be
you up on that. I would love
cool
to
to
be
just
part
come.
of that.
Yeah, and they
It's
have
something I would love to experience.
We'd be
with you.
honored to have you in our kitchen.
that'd be wonderful.
honored to have you in our kitchen.
that would be
Sure, I'd love
a
to
lot
cook
of
something
fun.
for them. That'd be fun.
That'd be
So
amazing.
let's line that up. Like I said, unfortunately, for the reasons why aren't good. However, that's what you're here for, and that's what I want to go be part of.
Yeah.
I would love to help you out and be part of it and experience
It'd be
it.
amazing.
And how
Yeah.
can everybody else still help? Because I mean, I know you guys are. I mean, you are cranking. So where can people go? How can they help you? What are all the ways that they could participate?
You know, the website is the best place. First
Okay.
thing I want people to pray for us, pray for the people that we're serving. That's the most important thing. But beyond that, on the website, you can volunteer. That's the links. That's how people get into our volunteer network. And there are secure links on there that people that say, hey, I've got a little treasure. I'd like to invest that in something outside of my world. I'd like to be a part of that somehow. Not everybody can go and serve and cook like you, chef, but everybody can pitch in a little bit.
You need help on all fronts.
That's what keeps us rolling.
Okay. So and the website. Go ahead and.
MercyChefs.com.
It's pretty easy to remember.
Source of all information,
Yeah.
MercyChefs.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And that'll link you to everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, it's been an honor having you here.
I
Thank you
know.
for coming. It's honorable what you do and what you've created and all your team and teams throughout the world. We appreciate you. And from a culinary standpoint, I find it fascinating because what you're doing is on that level of mass production in a good quality. I know what it takes, and I can't wait to be part of it. I would definitely want to come see it firsthand.
It's great to be with you guys today. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
the hospitality.
Cheers to the next 30 million meals.
Oh my gosh, I'm tired.
I'm tired. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just thinking about it. He's like,
All right.
okay, maybe 10 million right now. We'll go for that.
Cool. Well, ciao for now. Thanks for coming.
Ciao.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Glad to be with you.
All right, cool.